Mr. Trey Lemon. Miss Amy Merkel, escorted by Mr. Daniel Carmichael. Miss Mai Lee, escorted by Mr. Matt Pierce. Miss Anna Johnston, escorted by Mr. Drew Trappenstead. Miss Gabby Bass, escorted by Mr. Randrick Reynolds. Miss Anna Percall, escorted by Mr. George Breeden. Miss Natasha Juki, escorted by Mr. Anthony Marino. Miss Rachel Ross Davis, escorted by Mr. Reed Swope. Miss Aya Finch, escorted by Mr. Tobias Thomas. Miss Susanna Renneker, escorted by Mr. Joseph Tucker. Miss Olivia Boyce, escorted by Bella Weiss. Miss Mally Ear, escorted by Mr. Eric Downs. Miss Mary Emma Talley, escorted by Mr. Jackson McLean. Miss Allie Claire Meeks, escorted by Mr. Daniel Hadley. Miss Rocky Walnut, escorted by Mr. Matt Sutton. Miss Mally Claire Alfano, escorted by Mr. Josh Legg. Miss Sarah Bovey, escorted by Mr. Griffin Vale. Miss Maggie O'Hare, escorted by Mr. Otto D'Agostino. Miss Hannah Snodgrass, escorted by Mr. Dylan Zaffron. Miss Amy Zaffron, escorted by Mr. Oscar Alcantar. Miss Emmy Cave, escorted by Mr. Connor Smith. Miss Kate Sims, escorted by Mr. Will Nistro. Miss Sarah Powell, escorted by Mr. Max Breeden. James. Miss Rachel Mao, escorted by Mr. Hunter Cecil. Miss Warner Payne, escorted by Mr. Draper Tapstone. Miss Marguerite Middlemas, escorted by Mr. Ian Logue. Miss Alex Loreno, escorted by Mr. Sam Janis. Miss Anna Stevens, escorted by Mr. Jackson Wallace. Miss Kate Smith, escorted by Mr. Wesley Williams. Miss Lindsay Salazar, escorted by Mr. Giuliani Luciano. Miss Arij Sindatuk, escorted by Miss Alyssa Frost. Miss Christina Connolly, escorted by Mr. Carlos Figueroa. Miss Elaine Russell, escorted by Mr. Seth Cheney. Miss Caroline Murray, escorted by Mr. Tucker Brandt. Miss Rosemary D'Antone and Miss Leah Keith, escorted by Mr. Keanu Smith. Miss Autumn Tate, escorted by Mr. Taylor Williams. Miss Kiera Gooden, escorted by Mr. Justin Carmichael. Miss Kate Fowler, escorted by Mr. Colin Dorrell. Miss Maggie Heath, escorted by Mr. Zach Haskins. Mr. Keyshawn Cross. Miss Morgan Danner, escorted by Mr. Edric Cunningham. Miss Eleanor Yarbrough, escorted by Mr. Charles Yarbrough. Miss Hayden Brockton, escorted by Mr. Billy Meadows. Miss Jan Harris Heineman, escorted by Mr. George Cochran. Miss Ashley Hurst, escorted by Mr. Avery Stansel. Miss Amelia Davis, escorted by Mr. Grayson Kelly. Miss Zoe Evans, escorted by Mr. Elaine Rapadas. Miss Issa Vivens, escorted by Mr. Michael Norman. Miss Sarah Fiore, escorted by Mr. Marcus Yaku. Miss Emma Blackman, escorted by Mr. Alex Harris. Miss Teresa Johnson, escorted by Mr. Javier Johnson. Miss Brooke Johnson, escorted by Mr. Zach Markham. Miss Caroline Doyle, escorted by Mr. Jack Ford. Miss Callie Kate Darnell, escorted by Mr. Hunter Harwell. escorted by Mr. Brian Artiego. Miss Samantha Stevens, escorted by Mr. Carter Zayn. Miss Anna Coker, escorted by Mr. Paul Condon. Miss Madison Chatwood, escorted by Mr. Kai Burdyshaw. Escorted by Mr. John Hale. Miss Elizabeth Oliver, escorted by Mr. Larkin Williams. Jess Johnson, escorted by Mr. James Reeves. Miss Hannah Elaine, escorted by Mr. Austin Roquette. Miss Amelia Jones, escorted by Mr. Alex Weaver. Miss Olivia Cornella, escorted by Mr. Cope Champney. Miss Sally Rose Wilkerson, escorted by Mr. Connor Warren. Miss Anna Spencer, escorted by Mr. Michael Cash. Miss Sarah Charlotte Williams.